You said you just wanted to get a degree.
Yeah.
But tell me more about that. Why just a degree?
Because, I mean, at that time, when you're 18, all your friends are going to uni, and it's more of a necessity than an actual want, because you feel like it's an insurance policy for the future. In case something goes wrong, you have a degree to fall back onto. But that was never a field I was really going into. I've always struggled to listen to people in terms of my bosses or managers. So I want to be my own boss. When you have a self-employed job, you have that priority to put yourself as your topmost client.
At the same time, what about the finances? We have to worry about the finances when it's not stable.
It's true. But then...
Shrimal Attapattu, what do you do for a living, my friend?
Okay, so as of now, I work as a freelancer for myself, a personal trainer, mostly focusing on fat loss. During some winters, I also work in the film industry, in production, but then that's just a side hustle, I would say, but mostly fitness.
Okay, so self-employed and a PT, a personal trainer.
Yes, but I don't do bodybuilding, just fat loss. So that's my specialty, you could say.
Okay.
Because personal trainers are, they vary in a lot of areas. I keep it very specific to a certain area, so I can focus more on that.
I noticed you said fat loss and not weight loss.
Yes.
Okay, so can you tell me more? What's the difference between fat loss and weight loss?
Your weight keeps changing from morning till evening, right? Your weight, if you drink water, your weight goes up. You go to washroom, your weight goes down. So your weight is just always fluctuating. Your fat or your inches in your body do not fluctuate that quickly, right? So when people say I want to lose weight, they actually mean I want to lose fat, because you can't measure fat. So you can't measure weight in a very accurate way. Fat is more measurable because what you see is what you get, right? With fat. If you lose an inch, you're going to notice that. Even if your weight doesn't change, you're going to notice an inch loss. So people at the end of the day want to lose inches and not weight per se.
Tell me, how did it all begin? A little bit more about yourself. Where are you from? Your schooling?
So I'm from Sri Lanka. I was in Sri Lanka until 97. So that's like 8 years in Sri Lanka. Then I moved to Dubai in 97. When I was 8, I schooled over here till grade 12.
Which school?
Arab Unity School.
Okay.
Yeah. I did my A-levels, whatever you call this. And then I went to my uni over here as well, Skyline University in Sharjah. I did my degree in travel and tourism management. I'm not sure why, because it sounded like the best option to do at that time. I didn't really care. I just wanted a degree in my hand, and I got it, and that's it. And then I moved to fitness in a very strange way, because I always wanted to be in the fitness industry, but never knew how to start, right? So one day on Facebook, there was an ad for Fitness First. It's an open interview. They have different positions. So I went to the interview. I've opted for a sales position, just to sell memberships. And when I told them at the interview that I want to be a trainer one day, they're like, start at the lowest level, and then you can work your way up. So that's basically how I got into fitness.
You said you just wanted to get a degree.
Yeah.
But tell me more about that. Why just a degree?
Because, at that time, when you're 18, all your friends are going to uni, and it's more of a necessity than an actual want, because you feel like it's an insurance policy for the future. In case something goes wrong, you have a degree to fall back onto. But that was never a field I was really going into. It was just an insurance policy, basically.
Okay, and then the support that you got from home?
Oh, they didn't bother much. They're like, do whatever you want. So I had no problems doing whatever I want, either with work or with my choices in education. So yeah.
Okay, then you got a job in sales, or did you opt for?
So actually, after the interview, they got me a place in Fitness First as a floor assistant.
Mm-hmm.
So the floor assistant's job is basically to make sure the gym is clean of weights. There's no weights lying around, and you help people to do some exercises, whatever. But I knew that was the bottom for me. But then I had to work my way up, right? So I knew I had to start somewhere, and I was very humble, kept my ego aside, just to know that in the next 2-3 years, I'm going to get to where I want to get, right? So that's important for me, to keep my ego aside, because when you started as a floor assistant, you're not really, there's no respect as such in the gym, because you're at the bottom of the hierarchy, you could say. Mm-hmm. But then, luckily for me, Fitness First, at that time, we had programs where you can, where they give you certification if you go for the courses. So I went for those as quickly as I could, got my certifications, then I became a trainer. That's where I want to be. So I had to work with my head down for a couple of years just to, get to that. So,
right.
Yeah.
So a lot of grit and a lot of focus, a lot of hard work.
A lot of keeping my goal in mind. You get me? Because I need to get there. It's not fun being a floor assistant because you're not treated as respectfully as you would. That's facts. You can't help it. And that was the hardest part for me, just to make sure I kept my head where it has to be, and not just give up because it's not fun or not respectful, whatever call it.
So how did you move to where you are right now, self-employed?
Again, when you work in fitness first, after a certain period of time, you want to spread your wings and fly away because of the system it has, right? You want to make more money. So for me, the best way to make more money in fitness was to move away from the gyms and do my own thing. I've always struggled to listen to people in terms of my bosses or managers. So I want to be my own boss and work my way up. So in the beginning, I barely made any money self-employed. And even now, there are seasons when you do lose clients, when you don't have much work, but then it's part of the bigger picture, right? So the bigger picture is to get your own space, to have your own gym or your own group sessions or whatever. So that's the bigger picture.
Looking back, any remorse, or are you happy with the decision?
You can't regret, right? So no regrets in life. So I'm very happy as to what the choices I make. Looking at my friends, when they have to work on days when they don't want to work, I've got the option to say, you know what, today I don't feel like working, and that's fine, right? Because at the end of the day, my health, my priorities come first to me. So when you have a self-employed job, you have that priority to put yourself as your topmost client.
At the same time, what about the finances? We have to worry about the finances when it's not stable.
It's true. But then being single, as in like not married or no commitments. So my parents are also employed, so they can take care of themselves. I have the freedom to take those risks, take those chances when I want to. That helps.
So I came to meet you once with AFT, that is Arabian Fit Trekkers, and you were throwing discs in Zabil Park. So yeah, that was when you initially, as a group, started playing Ultimate Frisbee, and now you have such a big group, a very strong one. Tell us a little bit more about that.
So AFT, Arabian Fit Trekkers, was started by a person called Faisal Shalmani. That was back in like 2017, and it was a running group. He just wanted to run with friends, and in the first couple of months, he didn't barely have any friends to run with. Then I got to know through Facebook that he's doing this, so I joined him. So I was one of the first members, and then I became one of the first coaches as well, because once we expanded from running, we went to group fitness sessions where we had like 30-40 people show up for a session at Zabil Park on every Monday and Wednesday. Even that, like in the beginning, you got like barely 2-3 people joining you, and then as you go along, they spread the word and you get more people joining you, and it was more of a community than anything else, right? So people loved being there because the people are nice, and that's the important part for that. Yeah.
Plus, it was free.
It was free. We didn't want to charge them because we just enjoyed the whole session. Sometimes it's just the fun factor you need to have that in life. So having trained and experience to train 40 people in a group is also an experience which is difficult to put a price on. So yeah, that's why it was free.
And even the Frisbee right now, that is also free.
Frisbee is free as well, because in Dubai or in UAE, Ultimate Frisbee is basically self-funded. There's no corporates sponsoring us at the highest level.
Not yet.
So hopefully, when I'm 55, I could get my first pro contract. Yeah. But yeah, so Frisbee, I'm sure most people don't know what Frisbee is. It's actually called Ultimate Frisbee, or Ultimate. Weird name to call yourself an ultimate player. It's a game played between two teams. The aim is to catch the Frisbee in the end zone, which is at the end of each field. So you have two end zones at the end of the field, and you must catch it in the end zone. That's the whole point of Frisbee. And we started not knowing the rules as AFT. We just threw a disc or a Frisbee in the park. And then there was one gentleman who's played Ultimate before, and he's like, this is how you play the actual game. I'm like, oh, okay, this is fun. Let's try this out. So we all started knowing nothing about the game. Most of the team, even now, no one knows this. Everyone started from AFT, most of them. Unlike other teams where they have people coming over from their home countries who's played before. For us, it's different. So that's what makes our team special and different, because we all started from zero.
what I understand is it's very similar to rugby, but nobody tackles the person; they tackle the disc or the frisbee.
Yes, so it's a non-contact sport.
Non-contact
You
sport.
can't push each other. I mean, of course, every once in a while you would because you are too eager to get to the disc, but not intentionally. You can't touch anyone intentionally. It's also self-refereed. That means there's no, even at the highest level of the game, there's no referee. You have to make the decisions if you did something wrong or right, and we talk it out between each other, and the game moves on. That's, I feel, is very unique to the sport.
So it's like fair play.
Yeah. So
throughout the game.
You must trust the other person to play to the same standard of which you're playing as well.
And men and women both play the sport.
Yes. So you have
together in one team.
Yes, you have mixed levels. You have gender-specific levels as well. But then in Dubai, it's almost all mixed. All the teams have mixed teams.
Tell me this, Shrimal. So if a person wants to learn about this game or work towards their fitness, because exercise is not for everybody. Sometimes they don't feel that motivated. When I say it's not for everyone, they don't feel motivated to go to a gym or maybe do some exercise, but they don't mind playing. If someone wants to join AFT, it is still free. What do they have to do?
So as a team, as we are growing, we've learned to be competitive, and we have to be competitive to keep our best players, right? So when we always welcome new players, but then at the moment when we are trying to compete with other teams, we want to make sure our beginners, our new players, have at least a certain amount of athleticism, because it's easy if you know how to run fast, if you know how to move, change our direction quite quickly. If you know that stuff, catching a disc and throwing a disc can be taught. But it's very difficult to teach someone how to run fast or how to run to a certain area in the field and stuff. So everyone is welcome to join. Of course, we never say no to anyone. But as much as possible, if you're athletic, we really appreciate that. It makes our team, our job a lot easier to teach you how to play the game.
So this is a 30-30 release that in line with Dubai Fitness 30-30. What is your message to everyone out there?
See, fitness is a lifelong journey. It doesn't end anywhere. We all think that I want to lose 10 kilos, but then once you lose 10 kilos, there's another goal that comes in the way, because once you lose that, you have the motivation, so you want to do better, right? So don't think of fitness as a short-term goal. It's a lifelong journey. And another thing I really want to focus on is people not believing the hype you see on Instagram or on social media, because what you see on Instagram is the people who succeeded losing 20 kilos in 2 months. What you don't see is the people who failed. So rather than focusing on quick results, quick fixes, focus on changing your habits, small terms. So when it comes to my clients, I do not give them goals in terms of weight loss or even fat loss. I tell them we change habits, right? Let's say, for example, the first 2 weeks of training, nothing has changed when it comes to food. They would keep a food diary, so they are aware of what they're eating. And then when we see what you're eating, for example, you know what you're doing wrong. You're human, right? So we make small changes. That's my message. Make small changes. Do not change your whole life in one day to achieve a goal. That's not going to work in the long run. You're always going to get back to where you were. Make small changes. Change small habits. If you're having one can of soft drink a day, make it half a can. So that way you slowly get to your point where you have to get to.
You are from Sri Lanka. Do you speak Sinhalese?
Yes, I speak English at home because my parents are there.
Do you want to give a message out in Sinhalese to all the Sri Lankans out there?
Sure. අපි හෙට වෙනකන් ඉන්න නැතුව අද පටන් ගත්තොත් අපිට ලේසි. නැත්තම් හැමදාම වයසට යනකොට හරි අමාරුයි පටන් ගන්න, එක්සර්සයිස් කරන්න, හරියට කන්න. ඒක දැන් කරොත් ලේසි. ඒක නිසා අපි දැන් පටන් ගමු.
And what does that translate to?
Generally, it means don't wait till tomorrow. Let's just start today, because the older you get, it becomes more and more difficult for you to get to where you want to get.
Shrimal Attapattu, ladies and gentlemen, so if anyone wants to reach out to you, how do they do that?
Well, I'm on Facebook, Shrimal Attapattu, ATTA. There are 4 T's in my name, don't forget. And on Instagram, I mean, I don't like being on Instagram, but I'm there because I have to be there. It is its.shrimal, its.shrimal on Instagram.
Okay, so I'm going to put the links out in the description. So anyone wants to reach out to Shrimal, please do so.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir, for your time.
Thank you.